Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Warren Hayes Show. Guess what? You're looking at Mr. Warren Hayes right now, and I am welcoming you to this brand new edition of my show, which I love a great deal, and I love you for coming over and loving this show with me. Well, that's kind of a weird thing to say, but the intention is there nonetheless, and I'm really glad you decided to press play on whatever device you have decided to check this YouTube video on. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for being here, folks. This is my Raw review for the July 16, 2018 edition of Monday Night Raw, which is a WWE wrestling program. Before we jump in, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I am slow burning a playthrough of the extraordinary PlayStation 4 game God of War. And recently, I had been tweeting about how difficult it was to beat these friggin' Valkyries, right? I'm going to put something up on the screen just right now. Take a look at that, folks. That is my first defeated Valkyrie. It is the first one. I don't remember what her name is, but it's the Valkyrie that's at the top of Muspelheim. You know, the fire realm where you do those challenges with the big sword. Listen, I think this cements my position as one of the greatest God of War players of all time. I'm just saying. And I think this is where I'm going to end the discussion. And I think, you know, I'm very proud of myself. I don't think we have to get into discussions as to, you know, what difficulty am I playing on. These things are unnecessary details that we definitely do not need to get into. But I'm actually pretty happy. I was really proud of myself because, man, they're really hard. It's really hard. It's harder than most of the bosses. Anyway, it's a tough game, but it's a fun game. And I will gladly share more God of War progress with you as we go along. But, you know, just the feeling of beheading that first Valkyrie. Man, it felt cool. A couple of programming notes for you this week. Today is Tuesday the 17th. So that's why you're watching the Raw review, aren't you? Tomorrow's Wednesday, the 18th. Tomorrow I'll have my SmackDown Live review out. Then in the evening, right after NXT, I will be doing my new show on FightfulSelect.com for the Fightful.com website. I'll be doing my 205 Live and NXT reviews. And that's really cool. And the only way you get to see it is if you become a member of Fightful Select, so why don't you? You not only will you get to see my show, but you will also get to a whole bunch of other content as well. It's a great service. FightfulSelect.com. Go check it out. Subscribe. And you won't regret it. And not only that, not only will you not regret it because you'll get to see my NXT and 205 Live review, but starting on Thursday this week, I'm going to be starting my weekly G1 wrap-ups. We're going to do it week per week for the duration of the tournament. And again, I will be doing that on FightfulSelect.com. So, yeah, there's 2 more great reasons to join, including all of the great content that already exists there. The news tidbits that we members get before everyone else. The members-only podcasts. There's a lot of great content there. And I will soon be recording with gentleman Sean Ross Sapp our new edition of our retro pay-per-view reviews. Sean announced this week that we are going to be doing SummerSlam 1992, right? I think. Yeah. We'll be doing SummerSlam 1992, and I'll just double check here on my notes. But it's the SummerSlam that took place at Wembley Stadium, which had Macho Man Randy Savage versus the Ultimate Warrior. So that's something. But it's also it's somewhat infamous because it has that match, that infamous match between Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith, where Bret basically had to carry Davey Boy through the entire match because he was in no condition to wrestle. So that'll be something to look at. I haven't seen that in years. So yeah, we'll be doing SummerSlam 1992 and TNA Unbreakable. That's another one we're going to do very, very soon. And I'm pretty sure we're going to do the TNA one first. And I'm pretty sure Sean is going to put it out there for free so you can get another taste of the excellent quality content that the folks at Fightful create for you. And that I help in creating for you because you guys are fantastic. Before we actually go into our review, this is the first time I actually get to talk about Extreme Rules, and I don't want to get into a review of Extreme Rules, but I did jot down some notes match per match, and I also want to talk about the results of my predictions, right? Because I did pretty good. So we'll just run down really quickly, just drop I'll let you know if I scored the prediction or not. And just a quick thought about the match. So we'll start with pre-show matches. Sin Cara versus Andrade Cien Almas. Cien Almas won, so I got that one. It was a great match. It was not as good as their SmackDown Live match from just a couple of days before, and it was too short. But now it's time for Almas to move on and do bigger and better things. Sanity defeated New Day in the tables match. It's another one I called. I got that one right as well. Leave it to the New Day to get the crowd fired up for a pay-per-view. They should open all pay-per-views. And New Day work great with all tag teams, apparently. They're fantastic. Sanity winning was the right decision. On the main card now, B-Team defeated the Deleters of Worlds to become the Raw Tag Team Champions. I whiffed that one. I had called the Deleters of Worlds, but I had mentioned in my predictions that if the B-Team won, it might be an indication that Bray is hurt, which I hope it isn't. If it is, I hope Bray gets well soon. It's an odd choice, honestly, to get the B team, to have the B team win. But then again, it was a feel good moment in an evening that didn't have many of them. Finn Balor defeated Baron Corbin. I called that one. Corbin was my performance of the night. He was incredible. Everything he's been doing since becoming Constable has been spot on. I cannot believe this is the same guy who was on SmackDown last year and who was just floundering, looking for a direction after losing, after being unable to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. It's the same guy, but he's on a completely different level right now. I'm enjoying Baron Corbin. Carmella defeated Asuka. I whiffed that one, much to my chagrin. Look, I never thought I'd use the words Asuka, match, and dud in the same sentence, but apparently I have to. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Jeff Hardy. I called it. I marked out completely, and as happy and thrilled as the way that Shinsuke won the match, because it works so well in his heel character. He's really the top heel on Main. No question about it. This is obviously an indication that Jeff is not doing well. He seems to be in pain. Everything he's been doing over the past few weeks looks to be terrible. I think he has back issues. Look, I really, really hope Jeff takes the time to rest, relax, and come back to us stronger, better, faster. Well, I mean, faster. At some point, age does start to catch up with you. Kevin Owens versus defeated Braun Strowman, and I call that. There was some good in-ring psychology, but the bump was completely unnecessary for a B-level show that had, for a B-level show in a feud that will have no real implications afterwards. And I do not want Kevin Owens to become the new Mick Foley. I do not want that. I do not want another another wrestler destroying his body because WWE thinks that that's what we want. Bludgeon Brothers defeated Team Hell No. I called it. Even called it on Twitter that they were going to run an injury angle on Kane, who was because Glenn Jacobs is about to win the mayoral race in Knox County. He's about to become mayor, so he's not going to be a full-timer, so they had to write him off. Anyway, I call that. Brian was doing fine fending off both Bludgeon Brothers until his injured partner hobbled over, and then he had to check on him. Everything was going fine for Daniel Bryan. Bobby Lashley defeated Roman Reigns. I called that one as well. Roman wrestled as a heel throughout this match. I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but those of you who were hoping, who always wanted to see heel Roman, well, there you go. Roman was wrestling as a heel all throughout this match. It was a match to put Bobby Lashley over as a babyface. I thought it was a good big man match, but I expected Lashley to be much more explosive than he was. Alexa Bliss defeated Nia Jax. I called that when she retains her Raw Women's Championship. It was short. Glad it's done. I'm glad this feud is over. The chaos at the end was fun. Ronda is better than I ever expected she would be at this stage on Raw. AJ Styles defeated Rusev. I call that one. Was probably the best match of the night, but the saddest Rusev day ever. Dolph defeated Seth. I called that one as well. So basically that means I only got 2 matches wrong. I think that's a pretty good average, wouldn't you say? Call me Mr. Prognosticator, Warren Hayes. The match didn't live up to expectations, though. 9 pins in a 30-minute match is ridiculous. It's too much. What was the point of restarting at the end as well? Aside from adding fuel to a possible Dolph versus Drew versus Seth feud? Maybe, but that's something you save for Raw, not for your pay-per-view. Fuck the audience throughout this match, but had the match, this is what I think, this is what I'm positing, had the match gone like if they had scored like 1 pinfall within the first 20 minutes, right? Then you realize, oh my God, there's only 10 minutes left. And let's say Seth scores that 1 pin. And people get invested in this. Of course, they have to be beating the hell out of each other for the first 20 minutes for this to work. Not this. There were too many rest holds and the headlocks in this match for these two guys. I don't understand. There were a lot of unnecessary rest holds here. So had the match gone 20 minutes with 1 pinfall, both guys having beaten the hell out of each other to reach that moment, I'm convinced the audience would not have gone into business for itself as bad during the Iron Man match. Maybe they would have started, doing the countdown thing in the first few minutes, but had the guys ramped up the drama, and if we had gotten to the moment like, okay, there's 1 pin that's been scored and there's only 10 minutes left, and then score another pin, get to 30 minutes, then have Kurt come back out and do the sudden death thing, but properly. It's just at some point you're like, okay, there's 8 pins that have been scored. It doesn't matter. There's no drama. That's not building tension. It's not because you're scoring lots of pins that it's suddenly a dramatic situation. It's like when you're in it's like in a match. It's not because you get a whole bunch of pinfall attempts that it's dramatic. I think it's the opposite. Make your pinfalls mean something. My point is here is had this been booked better, if the match had been worked better, pretty sure the audience wouldn't have gone into business for themselves. I am of the opinion that WWE brought this on themselves. There you go. So those are my Extreme Rules. My quick final thoughts on Extreme Rules. I got only 2 matches wrong in my predictions. You know where to come for all your insights on pay-per-views. This guy right here. Let's get into it. Raw, July 16, 2018. Kurt Angle is in the ring, and he puts over the Raw roster, but buries Rock and says he's about to see, since neither Brock or Paul Heyman gave any news, he's about to strip Brock of the Universal title. But Paulie comes out. Paul Heyman. Paulie dangerously. Paul Heyman comes out, and he starts his spiel. My name is Paul Heyman, but Kurt cuts him off. He says, "We know who you are, Paul. Just get to the point." You know, there are chants of strip the title in the audience right now. What do you think that means? I think this means the audience just wants WWE to get on with it in regards to this title. I really think the infamous WWE Universe is done with this Universal title bullshit. Just get on with it. Paulie. Why am I keep calling him Paulie? Well, I mean, that's used to be his working name. But Paul Heyman says, you all think Brock doesn't care about the Universal Championship. Couldn't be anything further from the truth. He says basically that Brock loves being Universal Champion, and what he wants to do, he wants to go into UFC as the Universal Champion and represent two sports. He wants to represent the WWE Universe in UFC and so on and so forth. Nobody's buying it, of course. And neither is Kurt. So he says, well, if that's his goal, well, he's still going to have to defend it at SummerSlam or he's no longer champion. And, Paul is like, oh, okay, well. And Kurt is being very assertive here, so Paul Heyman is like, oh, okay, well, you're a tough negotiator. If that's what it takes, that's what'll happen. All you need to do is find a contender. Then the parade begins. The parade begins and Bobby Lashley comes out. He says, I had two goals in mind. The first was to defeat Roman Reigns. And the other was to beat Brock Lesnar and win the Universal title. And then Drew McIntyre comes out. Oh, Drew. Mountain of a man. Drew McIntyre comes out. And he says, why exactly do you think I came back to WWE? Do you think I came back to stand in Dolph's corner? I came back for change. Phase 1 was to ensure that the IC title stays around Dolph's waist. Phase 2 is to become the Universal Championship. And there are yes chants that start in the audience. So if you don't think that the WWE Universe doesn't buy Drew McIntyre as a legit champion, as a true contender, you're living on another planet, folks. And I also want to point out, this may have been a soft breakup of Dolph and Drew. And we'll see it a little later on here. But the fact that Drew says here, look, my phase 1 was to help my buddy get the IC title. And now I've done that. Right? Because Dolph didn't come out with him. Dolph wasn't in his corner. And in Dolph's match later on, Drew wasn't in his corner. I think we just witnessed a soft breakup of the duo. We'll see. Seth is next on our parade of human contenders. He walks right up to Drew, straight up to Drew, and the crowd starts chanting, burn it down. And he says, I'm right here. I want in on this. And Elias comes out with his guitar, gets a whole bunch of heat. He says that next week, July 23rd, his debut album drops. I love that he said, I'm not a fan of that expression, dropping an album. Maybe it's because I'm old, but I think it's a dumb expression and it's overused. So I kind of enjoyed the fact that Elias said, my album drops on July 23rd. So July 23rd, so basically he says, I want in on this. Finn Balor comes out. He says, what makes sense? Who was the very first Universal Champion? It only makes sense that it'd be Finn Balor versus Brock, right? And it's hard to argue that, because as much as WWE likes to invoke these rematch clauses, right? The automatic rematch clause, Finn never got his rematch for the Universal title that he never lost. Maybe that's the loophole. But anyway. And then finally, Roman Reigns comes out. Now, we're going to have a talking point here. Roman Reigns comes out and he says, look, I'm not going to make any excuses for last night. I don't care about Lesnar. I just want to fight someone tonight. What? If he doesn't care about Lesnar, what have we been subjected to over the past 4 to 5, 6 months? Because that's all he's been complaining about. About how Brock Lesnar is a part-timer, how he's a full-timer, that he cares about the business, that Brock Lesnar doesn't care about the business. That's all he's been rambling on about. I'm the real champion. I deserve another shot. And now suddenly he comes in and he says, I don't care. I don't care about Brock Lesnar. I just want to fight someone. So if he doesn't care about Brock Lesnar or the Universal title at this stage, why is he coming out here to include himself in this number one contender situation? He says, I just want to fight someone. Well, fine. Just wait your turn in the back and we'll feed you to Mojo Rawley or something. I don't understand this. And look, maybe it was just clunky delivery. Right? Brighton Heaton over at Daily DDT. Go follow those guys. The fan-sided guys, Daily DDT. He posited to me last night on Twitter that maybe it was just clunky delivery, like it was like, he says, look, I don't care about all this Lesnar nonsense right now. And maybe it's just his delivery that may have been a little sloppy. Maybe. But this is the problem with Roman's character. And it's that Roman feels like he's above stuff and that he doesn't care. It's like everything sort of just rolls off and there's no fire to him. There's nothing that sticks. There's no passion. When is the last time you actually saw Roman Reigns get fired up, like literally fired up about something? Most of the time his promos are like, look, I don't care about what's going on. I'm the big dog. This is my yard. If you want to do something about it, just come do something about it. But he has no spark. He has no fire. So even if his delivery was a little, even if his delivery on this line, I don't care about, was a little clunky, that's not how he should come in. He should have come in and continued on his usual spiels that he's been having about Brock being a part-timer, never showing up. He was suspended because of this part-timer stuff. You remember? Roman had a perfect opportunity right then and there to come into the ring and say, look, this is what I've been telling you guys all along. Brock doesn't care. He sends his stooge over, but he has nothing to do with us. And I am sick of this. Put me in this match. But no, it's like, I don't care. It's not even a thing that he's mopey. He doesn't have a spark. He has no flame. And that's the problem. And that's why people have difficulty connecting with him, because he's not transmitting any passion into what he's doing. And that's what bugs me about Roman Reigns right now. Anyway, Kurt decides that he's going to make 2 triple threat matches tonight, and the 2 winners of those triple threat matches will face in a number 1 contenders match next week on Raw. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Because we all know what's coming up. We come back from commercial after all of this, and Corbin runs into Kurt, and he says, "Look, did you even get authorization to do this junk? What's going on? Why didn't you put me in the match?" And Kurt is like, "Well, because you lost last night, Corbin." And you know what? Parentheses, real quick. I'm glad that Kurt Angle last night showed authority. Like, he showed balls last night. And that didn't show his balls. But he showed balls last night. And that was good. Kurt as a leader, not always being neutered about stuff. And that's how you write a babyface character or a hero or a protagonist. You can't always have the antagonists pushing him down. At some point, the good guy has to have his victories. And he had his victories against Corbin tonight. That's a good thing. Because Kurt has been so wishy-washy and ridiculous. So good. That made me happy. So then the Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, and Roman Reigns match is on. And listen, guys, this was a great match, and it was a long match. It lasted easy 25 to 30 minutes. Look, it helped drive the first hour of Raw. This was a great match, and it was superior to any other match that we saw at Extreme Rules the night before. It was so much better. I don't understand WWE booking sometimes. Sometimes, most of the time. I don't understand. This was a great match with great people. So Drew gets control, actually. And this is the story of the match. Drew McIntyre is basically doing whatever the hell he wants for the majority of the match. He's got everyone dodging and rolling and just getting their faces smashed in. It was all about Drew. Early on, Reigns knocks Drew out of the ring. Finn tosses Reigns out, and then Finn runs the ropes and hits a tope con hilo on both, which was beautiful as usual. Drew hits a spinning power slam on Roman at some point. Like I said, Drew is just mostly in control for the entire match. Balor and Roman start to battle back at some point. Roman hits a jumping lariat, forearm by Finn on Roman. There's a lot of trading off that happens like this. Roman goes for the drive-by on Finn. Finn rolls out of the way, and Finn then slingshots over and hits a double stomp on Roman. And Finn was hitting a lot of stomps during this match. It was stomping Finn Balor. It sounds like like a country, like a folk artist. And then spot of the night. Fight me if you dare. Drew hits a tope con hilo over the top rope and takes out Roman. Finn had moved out of the way, but Drew McIntyre, who is 11 million feet tall, hits and not only does he hit a tope con hilo, but he hits a beautiful tope con hilo. That was gorgeous. The form was wonderful. I hope from this point on, now that we've seen the move and we're like, holy shit, I hope he holds on to this move and he doesn't pull it out every other match. Or every match. Maybe every other match would be fine, but not every match. And he saves it for big occasions now. That was awesome. We're back from commercial. Drew turns a Superman punch into a big spine buster. We had a chair involved just before the commercial, and Finn has the chair now that he's in the ring, and he just starts wailing on... He just plasters Drew in the back, and then he starts wailing on Roman, who's on all fours, and he's wailing on Roman, and there's yes chants accompanying this. Crowd is hot and into this, and they're buying Finn Balor. as a potential winner. He drives Drew into the barricade. We're outside now. Finn drives Drew into the barricade, moves out of the way, and Roman spears Drew on the outside. Finn gets a sling blade. Superman punch on Finn. That gets a 2. Roman goes for a spear on Finn. Finn kicks Roman in the head as he's trying to deliver it. He goes up for the coup de grace, hits it on Roman. Drew breaks it up. He throws Finn into the stairs. Finish is coming up. All 3 men are in the ring. Superman punch on Drew. Finn rolls Roman up by surprise for 2. Superman punch on Finn. Drew hits the Claymore on Finn. Superman punch on Drew. That knocks Drew out of the ring. Roman hits the spear on Finn, and the pin qualifies for the number 1 contenders match next week. This was good. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Drew McIntyre is going to be a huge. Just look at the way he's being booked right now. Bayley is back. Bayley is backstage, and Kurt comes over and he says, well, how did the friendship counseling thing go? And you'd think he would have got a report. Michael Cole last week said he was going to get a report. You'd think he would have got a report because he's the employer. Bayley basically tells him, it didn't work because, Sasha being Sasha and Bayley being Bayley. And Kurt dares to say, we settled things in the ring. So let them fight, goddammit. But no, he's gonna force them into another tag team situation. Let's put you both together once again. He says, you're too valuable together. Why? Why? Why does Kurt care if they're best friends? He just has to take a minute to explain it to us. If this leads into the creation of a tag team, of a women's tag team, women's tag team belts, I'll say it. If this leads into the creation of women's tag team titles, then okay, I get it. He wants a dominant tag team. But why does he care that these two remain friends? What's his angle on this? I don't understand. Why? If Bayley and Sasha, now this is what he says. He says, look, if you two can't get along, I'm going to have to trade one of you two to SmackDown. And this is bad news. SmackDown Live is the show that's going to Fox in 2019. Bayley should be like, fuck this. All right, Kurt, hang on. I'll make this simple on you. I'll go pack my bags and I'll just head on over right now. Ta-ta. Bayley should be like, yeah, no. All right, you want to send one of us over to SmackDown Live? Fine. Look, I volunteer. I'll go. I'm done with this place. That's what I'd do. You kidding me? And then, look, now people, we're going to jump ahead a bit here. Later on, they have their match, and Bayley and Sasha are backstage, and they have a confrontation. And I'm going to, look, credit where credit is due. All right? Sasha killed her promo. She had a magnificent promo backstage. In my opinion, it's too little too late, but it was a beautiful promo. I'm hearing there's people speculating on the internet. This is just speculation, of course, that they're going to try and run a lesbian angle here because she said, I love you. And because for some reason, you can't tell someone that you love them in a purely platonic way because obviously we're still, we're all in grade school and this is 1983. You can't just say that you love someone because love can take many forms. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. They're going to run a lesbian angle. This is the speculation. I have zero faith in creative on Raw. Zero. I hope they don't. I hope they do not run a lesbian angle on Raw because it's going to be the suck. It's going to be awful. They're going to bring it down to its most basic components, and it's going to be embarrassing. Yes, Stephanie McMahon had said before that she'd love to run a lesbian or a queer or LGBTQ angle at some point. And I'm okay with that. The idea of running that kind of angle has no issues with me. I'm all for it. The problem is that I don't have faith in creative to make it worthwhile, to make it good. That's the issue. If they had good creative, if they had if they were able to build proper angles, go for it, guys. Do it. But they don't. They can't. They can't even do Bayley versus Sasha right. Bayley versus Sasha is a built-in story. The minute that the two of them appeared on main, you had your angle built in. But they managed to mess it up the entire year. And with these starts and false starts and reboots and restarts and false finishes. 4 weeks ago, Bayley was beating the tar out of Sasha. She said, "You ain't shit." And people were cheering and were popping because that's what we want. We want fire. We want passion. We want this energy of a blood feud. Something personal. We get it. It's personal. Just give us a proper payoff. It's gone too far. It's useless now. This angle is trash. And the match that they had last night was trash as well. It's all garbage. I can't buy into it anymore. And if they're going to run in a lesbian angle, let's be frank. Okay? Let's be honest. Now, unless Sasha and Bayley haven't come out yet, which I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But there's already a wrestler, Sonya Deville, on SmackDown who is out. And she's proud of it. Use that! You have a legit lesbian member of the roster. Use that. And look, give me a second here for some fantasy booking. She's paired up with Mandy Rose, right? Ever since Absolution dissolved and moved over, they're still a duo. They're a pair. Well, why don't you just start sliding in very naturally that, maybe she has feelings for Mandy, right? Why don't you start working that angle a little bit? Maybe Sonya has feelings for Mandy, right? And why don't you just gently move, start positioning Mandy as a conniving, maybe a little manipulative, seeing these feelings and using them to get Sonya to do a bit what she wants? That'd give Mandy a character, make her interesting. You'd in the meantime, you'd build a baby face because everyone would be like, no, Sonya, no, she's just using you. Building a baby face, someone you care about, that you care for things to happen. Why don't you do that? Again, you have a built-in story right there. Now, maybe Sonya wouldn't want to do that. Maybe she just doesn't want to bring, and I can understand that. Maybe she doesn't want to bring her sexual orientation to the forefront, and I'd be okay with that. Maybe she just wants to do her own thing, and that'd be fine. I'd be surprised because I feel like she's proud of it, and I feel that if she had the opportunity to be a part of something that would paint LGBTQ people in a good light, I feel she'd be willing to do that. But anyway, this is all speculation, right? I'm getting hyped up on speculation. So why don't I get hyped up on concrete stuff? The Bayley and Sasha angle is trash. And no matter how it ends at this point, I'm afraid I don't care. They're gonna have to do something tremendous because I am sick of being jerked around like this. They want to have WWE wants to be considered for Emmys? Not with this kind of writing. Trust me. That's awful. And it was a terrible match that they had. It's all trash. I'm sick of it, and it doesn't make any sense. The positive that we had in that match was that we got to see Alicia Fox back in the ring, and that was neat. And there was that one spot that was really cool where Sasha flipped Dana Brooke off the apron and onto the mat. That was nasty. The match ends in a double countout. I'm in a good mood. Dolph Ziggler's in the ring. He said he put on a clinic last night. He says, "Yeah, I'm still the IC champ. Seth Rollins, I respect everything you did to make the IC title what it is today, but you're no Dolph Ziggler. Not only did I beat you once, twice, no, I beat you 5 times last night." Yeah, don't remind us that there were 9 pinfalls in that match. Glorious music hits. Bobby Roode comes out, sets up a match. A match that there was really nothing to it. There was nothing going on there aside from Dolph Ziggler doing one of the things that he does best, and that is selling offense. Bobby Roode looked super strong. Dolph's selling was extraordinary. Look, they dragged this match on long enough to put a commercial within it. Glorious DDT attempt. Dolph goes into the zigzag, but Roode kicks out. Roode catapults Dolph into a corner and then into a spine buster. He jumps off the rope and motherfucking tweaks his knee. If you follow me on Twitter, if you've seen these reviews before, you know how much I hate these he tweaked his knee angles. It's pathetic. First of all, it's overused. If it had happened like once a year, I'd be okay with it. We hadn't seen it in a while, in at least 4 to 5 weeks, but I hate it. I hate the he tweaked his knee thing. Hate it. Dolph wins anyway. It was a stupid finish. I think it was a super kick pin, right? After he tweaked his knee, because then it suddenly made him vulnerable to a super kick. Dull match. What are they doing with Bobby Roode? I'd like to know. But whatever it is, man, what a fall from grace. From one of the most anticipated NXT call-ups. He was NXT champion, and a great one. And he was doing fantastic work. Look, and everyone's saying, turn him, and I agree, turn him heel. But I feel like the more it goes on, even the heel turn won't save him. God damn it. Mojo Rawley was clowning him backstage. Mojo Rawley was clowning Bobby Roode. They're pushing Mojo Rawley. No disrespect to anyone who is a Mojo Rawley fan. This is not a question of your fandom, who you like. That's fine. Mojo Rawley does nothing to me. Here, let me illustrate. Allow me to illustrate here. Look. All right, what we're gonna do here. This is a meter, okay? All right, and this is does to me. This is what something does to me. All right. Let's say God of War would be up here. Good coffee would be there, and Mojo Rawley is over here. That's Mojo Rawley does nothing to me, as you can tell on this chart. Whiteboard. I'm glad I got the whiteboard. Like and subscribe if you like the whiteboard. We saw Tyler Breeze in singles competition, but it wasn't much of a match, was it? I will give Mojo this. His Alabama Slam finisher is pretty vicious. That was a harsh one. It looked tough. I wish someone would explain why we're pushing Mojo Rawley over everyone else. We had the Alicia Fox, Dana Brooke versus Bayley and Sasha match, and I've already talked about it. But like I said, I reiterate, it was nice to see Alicia Fox back in the ring. That made me happy, and she had a fire. She wanted something to happen. Good for her. Then everything that has to do with Sasha and Bayley, I've already talked about it, and I'm not rehashing that. So Braun is backstage. He's with Renee Young. Renee asks him, "Do you have any regrets about last night, Braun?" After tossing Kevin Owens off the top of the cage, and Braun says, "My only regret is that I didn't have a chance to congratulate Kevin on his victory." That's fine. And Renee, I love Renee Young, and she's so credible. She's so good at what she does. She is a constant bright spot. But Renee, why did you ask Braun? Renee, why did you ask Braun last night? Why did you ask him the reason why he didn't put himself into those triple threat number one contenders matches? Renee. He has the Money in the Bank briefcase. Renee. Don't do this to me, Renee. I believe in your journalistic integrity. Please. No more stupid questions like that, Renee. It was a stupid question, though. The B team comes out, and they come set up for their match. We're back from commercial, and then we find out that they're fighting the Ascension. Cue the Ascension used to be so good in NXT regrets, but Victor looked really good in his offense, getting Bo in a corner and with some chops and European uppercuts and a flying knee. Axel tosses Connor out of the ring. They do the double team neck breaker, and that's it. And it's, I don't know. One thing that the B team have to stop doing now is these long-winded celebrations. Oh my God, we won. We're they're the champs. It's more like they can be happy that they won, but it can't be a shock anymore. It can't be like jumping up on commentator tables anymore and hugging ridiculously and dancing all the way. They're champs. I don't want them to start acting like champs because they're a comedy goofball act, and I'm fine with that. But the over celebrations are a little too much now. Back from commercial, we have Alexa Bliss who heads to the ring with Mickie James. Mickie James. I don't remember Mickie James back in the day looking as good as she does today. Oh my God. I only wish I could wear hot pants like she does. And you know what? So do you. Alexa says, my strongest muscle is my brain. I outsmart everyone. Then Ronda Rousey comes in from the crowd. And then it's funny because then the reactions start in the audience. I thought this was well played. Alexa's in the ring. The reactions start, and Alexa goes, "Oh, what are they cheering about?" And she looks around and she sees Rousey and says, "Oh, okay, well, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much. Bye-bye." She sort of, let's wrap this up. I got to get out of here. Which is good, and this is why Alexa has been given the Raw Women's Championship. She's obviously going to drop it to Ronda. Ronda needs the chase. Ronda's the babyface. This is what she needs to do. And I know that a lot of people on Twitter are like, the blonde bimbos. Why didn't you always give it to the blonde bimbos? Why Alexa? Alexa's no good. And this is all stuff I disagree with, by the way. But think about it. If you want to put the belt on Ronda Rousey, she has to win it off a heel, right? Name me a strong woman heel on Raw, aside from Alexa Bliss. I'll wait. You can't name another strong women's heel on Raw aside Alexa Bliss. It had to be Alexa Bliss. That's why they put the belt back on it. That's why she got Money in the Bank. That's why she cashed in, because she's a motherfucking heel. And she's the best women's heel they have on the roster. Ronda needed the chase. She needed to chase it down from someone who was legitimately scared of her, who could put over the fact that she's in another league. This is all stuff that Alexa's super credible at. This pairing makes sense and helps Ronda tremendously. So I'm glad that this is the direction that they're going with. Because Ronda chasing Nia, you saw what happened. And you had two faces going after each other. The chase was a dud. The match was good, but the chase was a dud. There was no heat to it, aside from Ronda's natural heat, because it's Ronda Rousey, and it was her first title match. Anyway, let's get back to the review. So Rousey comes through the crowd. She grabs Mickey. Does that judo drop, man. Wow. That looks stiff as hell. Mickey again doing a fantastic job putting the talent over. She tries to put the armbar on James. Officials arrive, take Alexa and Mickey away, but Rousey chases them up the ramp and then just knocks everyone out, including the officials. Drags Alexa back to the ring to try and armbar her, but Kurt comes out to try to and is the voice of reason to calm her down. Says, look, you know, Ronda, you need to take it easy. You need to go home. Baron Corbin comes out and says, look, Ronda, Kurt, I don't know what you're doing. Ronda needs to be reprimanded. And Kurt is like, I'll tack on another week to your suspension. And Corbin's like, another week? What's this all about? You know, where's I'm going to call Stephanie. She wouldn't stand for this. And where's my phone? Where's my phone? And he looks at Mickey James and says, where's my phone? And Mickey James is like, I don't know. When Corbin goes away, and then Kurt is like, maybe I think he's looking for this. Oh, Kurt. See, this is what I expect from my Raw general manager. This is what I expect from Kurt Angle. He's a vet. He's credible. He's a legend. This is the kind of shit he has to pull. I like this. I was 10 out of 10 Kurt Angle tonight. Anyway, so basically he says, look, you're going to have to finish your suspension, but I'm going to give you a title match at SummerSlam against Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. So basically, let's run this down quickly. Ronda breaks her suspension. She comes into an arena. She jumps the guardrail. There's no security to stop her. She attacks the talent while she's suspended. She attacks officials while she's suspended. And her reward is getting a title match. Hey, consider us for the Emmys. Consider us for an Emmy. I get it. I know what they're doing. But at some point, you do want your stuff to make sense. You would at least want security to jump in, right? At least that. Have her beat up security. It's just a little... It's always in the details that these angles work or not. Anyway, backstage, Charlie Caruso's with Seth Rollins, who says, last night was not my night, but tonight is my night. That was a lot of night. Kind of reminded me when Roman was doing his promo on Bobby Lashley and was calling him Bob, 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 Bob. All you could hear was Bob, 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 Bob. It was night. It was my night last night. No, not my night last night. Night. Burn it down. We get the Authors of Pain in a squash match against Titus Worldwide. It is what it is. It's smart booking for the AOP. I'm okay with that. Then win with the last chapter, which is still a terrible finisher for these guys. Riot Squad meet up with the No Way Jose Conga line. Anyway, it leads into our match, Ember Moon versus Sarah Logan. Let's talk Vikings for a second. What was that? What was that? Sarah Logan sent me an email this week telling me about her Viking heritage. Yes, did you know that the Vikings in North America... Oh my God. You know, I do have some Irish blood. I thought she was a redneck. Isn't she like from West Virginia? Like legitimately from West Virginia. Not saying that all people from West Virginia are rednecks. It's just, I'm pretty sure that there aren't many people living in West Virginia that have Viking blood. You know what? This is my point. I think that isn't that where she's from, and the whole redneck thing. Remember when she was talking about possums some time ago, when they were still on, when the Riot Squad was still on SmackDown, I think. I don't get it. It's really weird. And Kurt Angle was going through, and not Kurt, Michael Cole was going through all this, the entire email and this backstory, trying to explain, you know, this is why I wear face paint. And what about the dreadlocks? Oh, thank you for asking. The dreadlocks are like snakes, and snakes are perceived as offerings to the gods. Look, the only legit connection that I'm making here is that Sarah Logan is engaged to Roe of War Raiders, right? Who are technically Vikings, right? That's their thing. I don't understand what this was all about. At some point, it was really, really cringy. It was like driving. It was so ham-fisted. And it was so just completely out of nowhere. And you could tell Corey Graves was having it. Corey Graves didn't quite buy into all this email thing. Oh, Sarah Logan sent me an email. Oh. Anyway, in the meantime, we had a match throughout all of this. Logan at some point hits a big suplex on Ember Moon into a bridge, only gets 2. Logan is mostly in control. She grounds Moon quite a bit. What I'd like to see Sarah Logan do more is be more of a power wrestler, because she is a big, strong gal, and this is a way for her to distinguish herself from the rest of the women's roster, who are much more flashy, do a lot of more aerial based moves, faster. I think she could really carve a niche out for herself by being a strong, powerful Viking. I'm sorry. And the thing is that I really like Sarah Logan, but I don't buy it. God, consider us for an enemy. Super kick by Moon gets 2 on Logan. Moon drop kicks Logan to the outside. She does her dive between the ropes. You know, Ember Moon gets a lot of velocity on those dives. They look really, really harsh. Finishing sequence happens when Ember goes up for the Eclipse. Liv Morgan runs interference. Logan crotches her on the top rope, rolls Ember up, and gets the 3 count. A bit out of nowhere. That's Sarah Logan's first win on Main and Ember's first loss on Main. leads us into our main event. Elias versus Seth versus Babe. This was fine, but it was not as good as the first triple threat match, but it was all right. Had some good moments. I feel like the initial thirds of these matches are a little slow, and I think they try to build some story, but it doesn't quite work, and things always seem to pick up once we get into the second and the final third as well. There was a nice sequence where Elias dodges where Elias goes to the top rope. He hits a flying elbow on Lashley, kicks out at 2. Immediately Seth dives off with a frog splash. Elias moves out of the way, so Lashley gets the hit, eats the frog splash, I should say. But Elias just flips right around, grabs Seth, rolls him out of the ring, tries to get the pinfall on Bobby Lashley, only for 2. That was a cool sequence. Seth's beautiful blockbuster on Elias gets 2. Seth goes to the top rope with Elias. Elias slams him off. Lashley goes after Elias on the ropes. Seth grabs Lashley off the ropes and does a buckle bomb. And, I mean, Bobby Lashley is not a light dude. That was cool. Seth then runs back over to Elias and does the superplex into a Falcon Arrow. I don't understand how that's a finisher, because it's really cool. I don't get how this is a transitional move. It's a finisher, if you ask your pal Warren Hayes. Rollins does the dive on Elias, who's outside. Actually, Elias and Bobby Lashley are both outside the ring. Seth does the dive on Elias, immediately runs back in, runs the ropes, does the dive on Lashley, enziguri on Elias, sling blade. That was a Seth at his purest form. It was a beautiful sequence. Super quick, mega explosive. He gets the stomp on Elias. Lashley breaks up the pin. Not the smartest thing if you want Bobby Lashley to get over. You know, Seth is still your top babyface. If you want your other babyface to get over as a babyface and hopefully as big, well, you shouldn't have him break up pins from your top babyface, because the audience didn't care for that much. Lashley goes for the spear towards the end. Seth leapfrogs the spear. Seth goes for the stomp on Lashley, but Elias runs and interferes. Elias gets the spear from Bobby Lashley, eats the pin, and Bobby Lashley qualifies for the number 1 contenders match next week versus Roman Reigns. You know, sometimes, folks, sometimes you kind of wish that WWE would try and mix things up a bit and, maybe surprise us. Doesn't happen very often. When we get surprised, we're happily surprised. But when we're not surprised, it breaks your heart. You know what I'm holding out hope for? The one thing I'm holding out hope for is that somehow the match next week ends without a decision. Right? And that we end up with a triple threat match at SummerSlam with Brock versus Roman versus Bobby. That's what I'm hoping for. If you'll allow me a second to fantasy book here, it makes sense to do that because it means that it means that Brock doesn't have to work a full match. It means that Brock can take breathers, and it also means, the second point, is that Brock can lose the title without getting pinned. So Brock still looks strong. I don't know why you'd want to protect him, but you know, if that was a condition, if this is something that has to happen, and if that's something that has to happen, well, this is a way that you can protect Brock. Again, don't know why you do it, but it's still something that could happen. Because if he's going to be fighting in UFC in January, he has to avoid fighting to, you know, not expose himself to any potential injuries that would keep him from his match in January, or at least he can't fight before January. I think that's the thing. It's not the fight is in January, but he can't fight before January. So, what they should do with the three guys is just put them in the ring together, and that way, Brock doesn't have to put in a big effort. He can pace himself and be careful not to injure himself. He can lose the title without actually being pinned. And this is kind of what I'm hoping out for, because I don't want to see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar again. Not one-on-one, not ever again. I'm done with this. And I'd hold out hope that WWE will just give us the ultimate swerve and allow Bobby Lashley to win the Universal title. And I know people will get really frustrated because over the past 18 months, all the build of towards Roman Reigns getting the Universal title this is what we've been fed, right? That's what we've been fed for the past 18 months. That's what we've been building for. That's what we've been expecting. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't bother me. Especially if Bobby Lashley wins. Because it'll be a swerve. Something we won't be expecting. And you know what? It'll just feel good. It'll feel good to have Bobby Lashley be the Universal Champion. Anyway, at this point, let's just get the Universal title back on TV, right? Am I right, fellas? And fellas, and what's the equivalent of, what's a female fella? Like a gal is for guy, right? What's it? Ladies? No. Let's see if we can't figure this out together some other time, because right now my Raw review is over. I thought to recap very quickly, the first match was fantastic. It's one of the better Raw matches we've seen in a long time. I thought the second hour was a slog. Third hour had its moments. And an okay main event that had a very hot finish. SmackDown is tonight. SmackDown is typically better because SmackDown has the capacity of creating wrestlers and characters that we care about. Anyway, so that's basically it. So come back and see me tomorrow, folks, for my SmackDown Live review. Then tomorrow night on FightfulSelect.com, we'll have my 205 Live and NXT post-show review. I do that live. Come join us, but you have to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com first. So go to FightfulSelect.com. Take a look at all the great stuff that you get for very little. Just a tiny bit of money, and you get a whole bunch of stuff. Guys, thank you very much for joining me once again. I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and you know what? I'll see you next time.